The most dangerous people in your life aren't the ones who openly take everything from you. They're the ones who already have enough, who are sitting on abundance, but still stretch their greedy hands to take the little crumbs you have left. And if you don't open your eyes right now, you'll keep feeding the very people who are watching you starve. Today I'm going to show you something that will change how you see every relationship in your life. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about resources. This is about the parasites walking among us, disguised as friends, family, and even leaders. And why your kindness is being weaponized against you. Picture this. There are two boys. One has bread hidden in his bag and enough to feed himself for days. The other has nothing but a single piece of bread, barely enough for one meal. Now, when the hungry boy sees someone suffering, what does he do? He breaks his only piece in half and shares it. He goes to bed hungry because his heart won't let him watch another person suffer. But the boy with the hidden bread, he sees that generosity and thinks, oh, perfect, another fool I can drain. He doesn't reveal his abundance. Instead, he plays the victim. He stretches out his hand and takes that half piece of bread from the boy who's already sacrificing everything. This isn't just a story. This is your life. This is happening to you right now, and you don't even see it. Let me tell you about the people who are bleeding you dry while pretending to be victims. These aren't just strangers. These are people you trust, people you love, people you've been conditioned to help. First, they have mastered the art of the sob story. Every conversation starts with their problems, their struggles, their so-called emergencies. But notice something. Their problems never actually get solved, do they? Because solving them would mean they can't keep taking from you. Second, they hide their resources like state secrets. They'll cry about being broke while hiding money in 3 different accounts. They'll claim they have no time while binge-watching Netflix for 6 hours. They'll act helpless while secretly being more capable than you are. Third, they are professional victims. When life is good, they find something to complain about. When they have plenty, they focus on what they don't have. They have turned suffering into a business model, and you are their number one customer. And here's the sickest part. They know you have less than them. They can see your struggle, they can see your sacrifice, and they take from you anyway, because your pain feeds their ego, your depletion makes them feel powerful. This isn't ignorance, this is predation. Now let me talk to those of you who recognize yourselves as the giver in this story. You with the soft heart and the open hands. You who would rather go without than see someone else suffer. I see you. You give with a smile even when it hurts. You sacrifice your lunch money so your friend can eat. You work extra hours to help someone with their bills while your own pile up. You emotional labor your way through other people's problems while your own mental health crumbles. You tell yourself it's because you're kind. You tell yourself it's because you care. You tell yourself this is what good people do. But let me ask you something. When was the last time these people celebrated your wins? When was the last time they checked on your mental health? When was the last time they offered to help you without you having to beg for it? I'll wait. You can't remember, can you? Because they never do. They drain your emotional tank, spend your resources, consume your time, and when you're empty, completely empty, they move on to the next person. And what are you left with? Resentment that you don't want to feel. Exhaustion that goes bone deep. Guilt for even thinking about saying no. And worst of all, you start questioning your own worth. You start believing that being useful to others is the only way to be valued. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else that you forgot to take care of yourself. You've been so busy being their strength that you forgot you're allowed to be weak sometimes too. They have turned your greatest strength, your compassion, into your greatest weakness. And they did it on purpose. Let's talk about what's really happening in the mind of these energy vampires, because once you understand their psychology, you'll never be fooled again. These people aren't just taking your resources. They're feeding something much darker. They're feeding their ego. Every time you sacrifice for them, they feel important. Every time you struggle because you gave to them, they feel powerful. Every time you say yes when you should say no, they feel superior. They need you to be smaller than them. They need you to be struggling. Because if you ever figured out your worth, if you ever started protecting your energy, if you ever started demanding reciprocity, their whole game falls apart. That's why they never truly help you rise. That's why they undermine your success with backhanded compliments. That's why they disappear when you need them. but reappear the moment you're doing well enough to give again. They are emotional predators, and you, with your beautiful giving heart, you're their preferred prey. But here's what they don't want you to know. Their abundance proves they could help you. Their resources show they could give back. Their capabilities demonstrate they could solve their own problems. They choose not to, because keeping you drained keeps you controllable. A person who can't take care of themselves can't challenge the people who are using them. All right, let me give you the red flags, the warning signs that you're dealing with someone who has bread hidden in their bag while they're eating yours. Red flag number 1. They are always in crisis, but their crises never make sense. Their emergencies are always urgent for you to solve, but they never seem to impact their lifestyle. They're broke, but they have the latest iPhone. They have no time, but they're always available for things they want to do. Red flag number 2. They never celebrate your wins. When something good happens to you, they either ignore it, minimize it, or somehow make it about them. Your promotion becomes a reminder of their struggles. Your relationship becomes a complaint about their loneliness. Your success makes them uncomfortable because it threatens their narrative that you exist to serve them. Red flag number 3. They have selective memory. They remember every favor you owe them, but forget every favor they owe you. They remember every time you said no, but forget every time you said yes. They remember their pain, but forget yours. Red flag number 4. They test your boundaries constantly. They ask for more than you can give, then, well, they make you feel guilty for having limits. They push and push and push until you break. Then they comfort you for breaking, while honestly planning their next extraction. Red flag number 5. They disappear during your hard times. When you need emotional support, they're busy. When you need financial help, they're broke. When you need their time, they have obligations. But, the moment you're stable again, they reappear with a new sob story. And here's the biggest red flag of all. You feel drained after every interaction with them. You feel anxious before seeing them. You feel guilty for not wanting to help them. Your body is telling you something your heart doesn't want to accept. Let's talk about what this does to you over time, because this isn't just about losing money or feeling tired. This is about the systematic destruction of your ability to trust, to love freely, and to recognize your own worth. First, you develop what I call chronic giver syndrome. You become so used to putting everyone else first that you forget you have needs too. You become so comfortable with sacrifice that comfort feels selfish. You become so familiar with empty that full feels foreign. Second, you lose your ability to receive. When someone tries to genuinely help you, you feel guilty. When someone tries to give to you without strings attached, you look for the catch. You become so used to one-sided relationships that mutual care feels suspicious. Third, and honestly, this is the worst part, you start to believe that your value comes from what you can do for others, not from who you are. You measure your worth by how much you sacrifice, how much you endure, how much you give up. You become afraid that if you stop giving, people will stop loving you. But here's the truth. They don't want you to know. The people who only love you for what you give them don't actually love you at all. They love your resources. They love your service. They love your willingness to be small so they can feel big. And eventually you start to hate yourself for being weak. You start to resent your own kindness. You start to see your compassion as a character flaw instead of a strength. You become cynical, bitter, and closed off, not because it's who you are, but because it's the only way to protect what little you have left. Now comes the part you don't want to hear, the part that's going to make you uncomfortable, the part that challenges everything you've been taught about kindness and love and being a good person. You have to stop. You have to stop feeding the people who are hiding their bread while eating yours. You have to stop making their emergencies your problem. You have to stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. The ones who get angry when you say no, the ones who guilt you for having limits, the ones who disappear when you stop giving, those are the parasites. And you just identified them. You have to learn to say no without guilt. You have to learn to protect your energy like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. You have to learn that not everyone deserves your kindness, your time, your resources, or your sacrifice. But here's the beautiful part. Here's what happens when you start protecting yourself from these energy vampires, when you stop feeding those who hide their abundance while taking your crumbs. You get your power back, you get your energy back, you get your life back. When you stop pouring yourself into black holes of neediness, you discover something incredible. You have enough. You have more than enough. You've been so busy giving everything away that you never realized how much you actually had. Your intuition sharpens. You develop a sixth sense for manipulation. You can spot a sob story from a mile away. You can feel when someone's trying to make their problems your responsibility. You become harder to fool, harder to guilt, and, well, harder to drain. You start attracting different people when you stop tolerating takers. You make room for givers. When you stop accepting one-sided relationships, you create space for mutual ones. And when you stop being available to everyone, you become valuable to the right ones. You learn the difference between helping someone who's struggling and enabling someone who's lazy. You learn the difference between supporting someone's growth and funding someone's comfort. And you learn the difference between love and manipulation. And here's the most beautiful part. Your giving becomes a choice instead of a compulsion. Your kindness becomes powerful instead of weak. Your generosity becomes intentional instead of automatic. You still help people, but you help the right people in the right ways, for the right reasons. You give from abundance, not from obligation. You love from strength, not from fear. But this isn't just about individuals. This pattern, this hidden abundance taking from visible lack, this is how entire systems operate. Governments that cry poverty while politicians live in mansions. Corporations that plead financial hardship while CEOs get million-dollar bonuses. Leaders who ask for sacrifice from their followers while living in luxury. Religious institutions that preach about giving while hoarding wealth. Charities that guilt you into donating while their executives live like kings. Social movements that demand your time and energy while their organizers profit. Once you see this pattern in your personal relationships, you'll start seeing it everywhere. You'll recognize the manipulation tactics. You'll spot the guilt trips. You'll identify the sob stories that don't add up. And you'll realize that the same people who drain you individually are often the same types of people who drain society collectively. They've just scaled up their operations. So let me leave you with this. Let me give you the truth that will set you free, even though it might hurt at first. Your kindness is not your weakness, but your inability to say no is. Your compassion is not your flaw, but your lack of boundaries is. Your generosity is not your problem, but your failure to demand reciprocity is. The boy with one piece of bread who shares it, he's not stupid, he's beautiful. The world needs people like that. But he also needs to learn to recognize the difference between someone who's genuinely hungry and someone who's just greedy. You can be kind and strong, you can be generous and boundaried, you can be loving and selective, you can have a soft heart and a sharp mind. But you cannot save everyone, you cannot fix everyone, you cannot love everyone into loving you back, and you cannot give your way into someone's genuine appreciation. Some people aren't hungry for food, they're hungry for control. Some people aren't asking for help, they're demanding servitude. Some people aren't in crisis, they're in comfort, watching you struggle to maintain their lifestyle. Stop feeding those who hide their bread. Stop giving your crumbs to those who feast in secret. Stop sacrificing your well-being for people who wouldn't sacrifice their comfort for you. The hand that always takes but never gives will never know true hunger. But it will also never know true love. Because real love gives as much as it receives. Real love builds up instead of tearing down. Real love makes both people stronger, not just one person weaker. You deserve people who give back. You deserve relationships that energize you instead of draining you. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not just for what you provide. And the moment you start believing that, the moment you start demanding that, your whole world changes. So here's your challenge, your homework, your moment of truth. Go through your relationships right now. Make a list of the people in your life. And, ask yourself these questions. Who celebrates my wins? Who checks on me without needing something? Who gives back even when they don't have to? Who makes me feel energized after spending time with them? Put those people in one column. Now ask yourself, Who only contacts me when they need something? Who makes every conversation about their problems? Who takes my energy and gives back criticism? Who makes me feel drained, guilty, or small? Put those people in another column. The first column, those are your people. Invest in them, love them, support them, grow with them. The second column, those are your lessons. They taught you about your boundaries, your worth, and your power. Thank them for the education from a distance. Because, well, life's too short to spend it feeding people who would watch you starve. Your energy is just too precious to waste on people who see your kindness as weakness. Your love is really too valuable to give to people who don't know how to give it back. Stop feeding those who hide their bread. Start protecting those who share theirs. And remember, the right people won't need to take from you to love you. They'll want to give to you because they do. That's the difference between a parasite and a partner. Make sure you know which one you're dealing with. Some people aren't hungry for food, they're hungry for control. The hand that always takes but never gives will never know true hunger, but it will also never know true love. Your kindness is not your weakness, but your inability to say no is. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep people warm who would never light a match for you. The people who only love you for what you give them don't actually love you at all. You can't love someone into loving you back, and you can't give your way into genuine appreciation. Real love makes both people stronger, not just one person weaker. The right people won't need to take from you to love you. They'll want to give to you because they do.